Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. I'm going to demonstrate how to put embellishments on an apron. Now it could be on an apron you already have, maybe one you've previously purchased or you've previously made it. So I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to add this little border up here. The little elf number 1 was done on my embroidery machine. I'll go over later in the tutorial options for doing something like this up here. This is also an oversized pocket, really easy to make. And don't be afraid of this chevron border. You're going to be surprised just how easy it is. Okay, let's get started. Now you can add the chevron border and the pocket and the trim, everything that I put on that apron. You can do it maybe to an apron you already have that's plain or nearly plain. Or you can buy plain aprons like these. These come 3 in a pack. They're run a little small, but I think they're going to fit the average person. And I bought mine at Walmart. They were in the sewing and crafts section. Not all Walmarts will have this because they don't all have a sewing and craft department. But you could probably go to Joann's or go on Etsy or Amazon.com and look for plain aprons. You probably want to wash and dry it before you add any embellishments to it, and make sure you give it a good pressing. Now I'm going to first demonstrate how to put this border on across here. So you want to measure across and then add about 1 inch to it. At the 2 shorter ends, the 2.5 inch edges, just fold it over a little bit and press it with your iron. And again, make sure you do it at both edges here. Now you're going to take the 2 long edges and fold them in towards the center and press. Then go ahead and lay it up near the top of the bib up here on the edge. And then you're going to take the ends and wrap them around underneath. Place a pin to hold it, and you do the same thing at the other end. Then continue pinning across. Then stitch along the top edge up here, down the side, across, and back up the side. You can cut your pocket any size you want. I'm making this one big oversized pocket that will go in the center. So the fabric for the outside, you want to cut it 7.5 inches by 9.5 inches. And then the fabric for the lining, and which will also be the border at the top of the pocket, is 8.5 inches by 9.5 inches. Now bring the 2 pieces front sides together and pin across this edge and stitch a 1/4 inch wide seam. Then press this seam on the back, then unfold and press it on top. Now bring them front sides together again, and you're going to line up along this way, these edges. And while you're lining them up, you want to go ahead and place pins along this side, and then along this edge and this edge. On the bottom edge, you're going to indicate an area that you are going to leave open and you're not going to stitch over it. Okay? So you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch wide seam, starting up here at the top, back stitch, go down and around the corner, and then back stitch. Then start stitching again, back stitch, go around the corner, back up to the top, and back stitch. When you're done, at the 2 bottom corners, you're going to trim some of the fabric off, and I like to take a little bit off on each side of the corner. So again, you do it on the 2 bottom corners. Then go in between, reach inside, and begin turning it front side out. So when you're done with your pocket, this is what it looks like on the front. So you can see that fabric that's your lining also is part of your border. And then this is what it looks like on the back. So then you take it, and I recommend you try the apron on and figure out where you would like to have the pocket placed. And then center it across this way. Now at the very bottom here, you have that opening. So you want to make sure those edges are folded inside, and you press all these edges and poke those corners out. Then you're going to place pins on 3 sides. You're going to place it along this edge here, here, and here. So go ahead and pin all of this. Then you're going to stitch real close to the edge on those 3 sides, and make sure you back stitch up at the top. Now I'll show you how to put the chevron border on it. So you need to measure your apron, because you may not be making this or using this one, and also whenever you buy things like this, they always are a little bit different than the other one in the package, so it's always important you measure across the widest edge down here. Then add 1 inch. So you're going to cut a strip of fabric that is that length plus the 1 inch. I've also cut mine 4.5 inches wide. Then take your fabric after you've cut it out and fold it in half. And then fold it in half again. Now I didn't bring the fold here all the way over to this edge. You need this part out of this little design in here because it's going to be hidden. So then you're going to measure from this folded edge here all the way over to this folded edge. So let me get mine out. So I've got it from there. It's 5 inches from here to there. So divide that number by 2. So mine would be 2.5. So up here, I'm going to put a little mark right in there. Then I'm going to go down 1.5 inches from this raw edge up here and put a mark over here and on this other folded edge right there. Then from this bottom edge, you're going to come up 1.5 inches. And again, in the center, right underneath where this dot is up here, you're going to put another dot. Again, it's 1.5 inches from the bottom. Then you're going to draw a line from here down to there, then go over to this other edge and do the same thing, draw a line. And then you're going to draw lines from here down to that 1.5, and then from here down to that 1.5 inch mark. Now, if you're going to use scissors to cut this part off, then I highly recommend you put pins around here so that fabric won't slip. And then, of course, then you can go ahead and cut on the lines. I like using my acrylic ruler. I use my acrylic ruler, I place it on the line, and then cut. So you're going to cut on all of your lines here and over here. And then when you're done, you just unfold it, and there is your chevron border. So now you want to center your chevron border strip across the bottom edge. Now mine is up maybe 3 inches from the bottom, and those edges at each end, you're going to fold them under, okay, so that when you fold it, it's even with this edge of the apron along there. If you should have any fabric sticking out up here, I have just a little bit, go ahead and trim that off. You know, don't worry about it, just trim that off. Place a lot of pins across here. It's really important that this is really stabilized. Then you're going to stitch it down, and you're going to start over here, and you're going to stitch close to the edge, about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. and I would use a basting stitch about 4.0 long and stitch along the entire edge of the chevron all the way here. When you get down to the side, stitch down the side, and then continue finishing it all the way across, and then stitch back up. Now some of you are probably asking, why didn't you use fusible web? Well, it would have been a lot of fusible web, a lot longer process, and I got great results just doing it this way. So that basting stitch stabilizes it so that you'll be able to do the next step really easily. Now, there's a lot of different stitches you can do on this, but because it's got a raw edge, the fabric here, it's got a raw edge, we need to cover that raw edge. So I used a satin stitch, and it's about a 7.0 inch wide. That's as wide as my machine will make it. Then I shortened the length of the stitch so the stitches would be close together. And so the best way to find out what to set your machine at is to get a piece of scrap fabric and put some paper behind it so it'll stabilize it, and do a satin stitch on that to see if you like the way it looks. Before you stitch, you need to put some paper behind here or some tearaway stabilizer. Now I'm just using this paper that I purchased from Home Depot in the paint department. It comes in these large rolls. And so go ahead and place it underneath the bottom of the apron, or under the where the chevron is. You want to place a few pins along here to hold that paper in place. So go ahead and start stitching at one end and make sure that the needle is going on outside the edge of the raw edge of the fabric. Make sure it's going out past that a little bit, so you make sure you cover that raw edge. And just continue down. Whenever you're at a corner area where you're going to need to turn, you won't lose your place if you leave your needle in the down position and continue stitching down this edge. Then go to the bottom edge and continue stitching down this edge. And then at each side along here, you can just do a regular sewing machine stitch to seal this down. When you're done, you can just rip this paper off, and this is what the border is going to look like on the underside. So this is what it looks like when it's all done. This is a really fun project. The reason why I enjoyed this is I didn't have to make the whole apron. All I had to do was add these embellishments on it, and it was really not difficult to do at all. Now, if you're interested in other apron tutorials, I will have a playlist listed below where there's many different apron types that you can do. So you just scroll down to the description section, click on the words "Show More," and then it will expand open and you will see the links appearing. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl. This is Manny. See you next time.